You've been praying. So why is God still silent? Have you ever prayed with all your heart and heard nothing? You prayed for healing. You prayed for your family. You prayed for a breakthrough. You prayed for an answer. But instead of hearing God's voice, all you experienced was silence. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. In fact, some of the greatest men and women in the Bible also experienced seasons where God seemed silent. So why does God sometimes remain silent when we need Him the most? Let's discover what the Bible teaches. First, it's important to understand something. God's silence does not mean God's absence. Just because you cannot hear Him doesn't mean He has stopped working. Think about Joseph. God gave Joseph incredible dreams about his future. But after those dreams, what happened? He was betrayed by his own brothers. He was sold as a slave. He was falsely accused. He was thrown into prison. For years there was no explanation, no miracle, no visible answer. Imagine how Joseph must have felt. He could have believed that God had forgotten him. But behind the scenes, God was preparing Joseph for something much greater than he could imagine. Years later, Joseph became the ruler of Egypt and saved countless lives during a famine. What looked like silence was actually preparation. Maybe that's where you are today. Now think about David. Before he became king, God chose him through the prophet Samuel. Yet David spent years running for his life from King Saul. He lived in caves. He faced betrayal. He cried out to God many times. In Psalm 13, David asked, "How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever?" Even David asked difficult questions. Yet David didn't stop trusting God. Eventually, God's promises came true. The waiting had a purpose. Job experienced something even harder. In a very short time, he lost his wealth, his children, and his health. His friends assumed God had abandoned him. For many chapters, Job searched for answers. God did not explain everything immediately, but in the end, God revealed His greatness, restored Job, and blessed him again. Job's story reminds us that we don't always understand God's plan while we're living through it. Sometimes understanding comes only after the season has passed. Even Jesus experienced what felt like silence. While praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus asked, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me." Yet he also prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." On the cross, Jesus cried, my God, why have you forsaken me?" If Jesus experienced deep suffering and waiting, we should not be surprised that our own faith will also be tested. So, why might God seem silent? Sometimes God is growing our faith. Faith becomes stronger when we continue trusting even when we cannot see the outcome. Sometimes God is preparing us for responsibilities we are not yet ready to carry. Sometimes His answer is simply, "Not yet." And sometimes His silence invites us to draw closer to Him, rather than only seeking what He can give us. Remember this. A teacher is often silent during a test. That doesn't mean the teacher has left the room. In the same way, God's silence doesn't mean He has abandoned you. He may be doing His greatest work where you cannot yet see it. If you're praying today and wondering whether God hears you, hold on to this promise from Isaiah 40:31. "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength." Waiting is never easy. But throughout Scripture, those who trusted God's timing were never disappointed in the end. So don't let silence convince you that God has forgotten you. Continue praying. Continue believing. Continue trusting. Because God's delays are not God's denials. Your story is still being written. Thank you for watching. If this message encouraged you today, consider subscribing to Divine Powered Journey for more Bible-based encouragement and stories that strengthen your faith. And before you leave, tell us in the comments, have you ever experienced a season when God felt silent? And what helped you keep your faith? May God bless you, strengthen you, and remind you today that even in the silence, He is still with you.